All right, in this video, let's talk about the flowers I evicted and the high tunnel inspection. Hey y'all, welcome to my back porch. I am videoing here today because I want to show you the Louisianas that I evicted. If you watched my last video, you know I had to get them out of the stem shed because I needed some space. So let me just show you what they look like after a week outside. We've had 2 frosts, but this is pretty covered. So I didn't do anything. I just left them out here on the table, but let me grab one for you. All right, not any bigger, not any smaller. I mean, they're okay. I did hit them with a little fish emulsion, but we'll see. I'm hoping they'll get big enough. The plan is to have these out in January. So they still have, they still have several weeks. They got a lot of growing to do in several weeks, but yeah, we'll see. That's what they look like. The Louisianas in the high tunnel look amazing. And look, let me just, for the record, I am not opposed to buying plugs. I bought those plugs. But my budget this year just was not, I couldn't wiggle it anymore to get any more plugs. That is one of the reasons why I stuck with seeds this year. Plus, I like the challenge of starting with seeds. Now, next year might be different. My budget might be a little bit different. I don't know. I did order those 3 trays, so that put me about 370 seedlings. They look amazing. My budget this year was very tight because I knew with the high tunnel, I wanted to put dahlias in there and mums. And I didn't have very many dahlia tubers, so I had to go purchase some of those, and Lord have mercy, y'all, those suckers are expensive. So I knew that was a big bite. And then I did mums, and I still didn't get all the mums I really wanted to, but I have enough for me to get started so I can do my cuttings and that. So finagling that budget to put more plugs in wasn't going to work. Plus, on top of that, I am a vendor in one of our local boutiques, and I needed something to sell for November, December, and January when I don't have fresh flowers, because I wanted to start. And look, I could have waited to become a vendor next spring, but I really wanted to start now so I could start building up a clientele and building up that anticipation of fresh flowers coming into the boutique. So they have a very loyal following, I will say that. They're repeat customers, and so I wanted to be a part of that in this new space. But that also meant I had to be very creative on what I was going to sell. So I did the amaryllis bulbs, I did the paper whites. Well, all of that took some pottery, some vessels. I curated some of those from estate sales. So all of that had to be done, and that was additional expense. Well worth it. I'm going to say well worth it because one, my email list has grown. I have something on my table there for how people can follow me and sign up for my email list. I've actually had several folks reach out to me and say, look, how do I make sure I am one of the people who are going to do your subscriptions? So it is paying off, but it also took a piece of my budget. So next year, will I do more plugs? Maybe. Mr. Daydream has decided that in the high tunnel in the center, he's going to do me some floating tables where I can put like these seedlings and that out there. Irrigation and that will happen much later inside the tunnel. But having them on a floating table in there also gives me a lot more room in the stem shed. So I don't know. I will decide that next year. Because part of my budget is also looking at what I spent this year and what my profit was this year. This year I should have turned a profit. I haven't done the numbers yet. Please, Lord, let me have done a profit, even if it's this much. Okay. So that's kind of where I am on the Louisianas. And for those of you who were wondering why I just don't buy plugs, my budget's not allowing it right now. Okay. Y'all, it's been reality moment. So it's been a really crappy weekend here. I lost a good friend of mine for her battle with cancer, and so it's put me in a little bit of a tailspin. I'm still having those random bouts of sadness. Y'all know how that goes. But it also made me start thinking about what I want the flower farm to look like if something happens to me, you know, who's carrying that on, what will happen. So anyway, that's going to be another video because I do want to talk about that. I think for us who are farming over 50, that's the reality and the season and the era that we are in. So we'll talk about that later. But anyway, just saying all that, make sure you tell your loved ones how important they are to you every time you get an opportunity. So, all right. Hang on a minute. Okay, sorry about that. All right, back to it. All right, let's talk about the high tunnel. Let me get into a good news space. So this morning, that's why I'm doing this video in between my off-farm job because I have some calls today, which I have one in a few minutes. So I'm going to try to wrap this up. We passed inspection. Yay, Mr. Daydream! So she said it would take about 2 to 3 weeks for us to get the reimbursement in. Yes, sweet. Okay, so let me back up a minute and give a little bit of context for any of you who've not seen my other videos. We qualified for an EQIP grant through NRCS for their high tunnel program. So back 2022, I actually applied, but I had missed the deadline. So my application got pushed to I applied in 2021. I'm lying. Sorry. I applied in 2021. I missed the deadline. 2022 came around, hit the deadline, got funded 2023. Got all that? Okay. So the program was very easy to apply for. Few forms, had to have my form number. I have talked about this in other videos. When we got approved, we had to go purchase the high tunnel kit. We did. Back during the summer, y'all, it was hotter than Hades out here. So Mr. Daydream didn't work on it every weekend by any means. I mean, being in South Louisiana in 100+ temperatures and in a drought wasn't real pleasurable. So he worked on it when he could, and he did an amazing job. Here's what else I'm going to tell you. He did it by himself. He did it by himself. I helped him get those first big arches up, and he did everything else himself. He covered it himself. He did everything. Now, full disclaimer, and I've talked about this before, Mr. Daydream's daggum good at what he does. He is an electrician by trade, but he is also a contractor, a plumber, you name it. He built our entire house by himself. So he built his shop, my shop by himself. So he's very good at what he does. I'm not saying everybody can build by themselves, but he got ours done by himself. With that being said, they came out this morning. They measured it. So let me back up. So we had to do, so a couple of things had to be right in order that were their qualifications. It had to be 30 by 55. The millage on the cover, I think it had to be 5 mil. I want to say 5 mil, and we went 6 mil. We went a little bit heavier, and it had to be 6 foot clearance. So they came out, they took pictures, they measured, we passed. If you are interested in the EQIP program, you need to go look at your local office. Here, and I don't know if this is everywhere, but here the application process is in October and ends mid-November. So for anyone who lives here, if anyone had wanted to get a high tunnel for 2024 and did not apply this past October, November, they are not eligible for funding. So you have to be ready to do your application in October of 2024 in order to get a high tunnel in 2025. So that is how it works here. I don't want to talk about other states because I don't know. I would assume because it's federal funding, that's probably the deadline everywhere. Y'all, the specs were very easy as far as what they wanted. We went through a dealer here in the state who had done multiple tunnels. So as soon as I called and said, we're getting the grant, they were like, we know what you need. So Mr. Daydream did make some modifications to that. He's also adding the gutters to it. So all of that was above and beyond what the requirements were. So very easy process. Do not be intimidated by it. Paperwork was not really anything major. Now we're just going to wait on our reimbursement check. So y'all, super excited, right? Like next year in May. So that the 2 agents that came out this morning to do the inspection ended up having a really long conversation with them about other cost sharing programs that they do. So there's a few things that I want to look into. I'll let you all know about that once I understand it some more. But they are like, she said, like from now until I think she said end of April, their plates are really full. They're out in the field a lot because they're doing so many inspections. So I'm going to go in May with a plan. I'm going to go check out some of the other programs, make my list, and we're going to see what happens. So I know not all of them are going to be as easy as this EQUIP grant was, but I'm willing to try it. So anyway, I got to go jump on another call, my third one for the day, and get some stuff done for work. So I hope you all have a wonderful week, and check back here next week and let's see what they look like then. Maybe they'll grow a little bit. Who knows? Y'all have a wonderful week, and we'll chat soon.